Everyone, welcome back. I've got Ed Jones with me here today, the owner and founder of Nutrition World, and we're going to talk about a very unique product, one that Ed has been trying lately a lot more, with some very interesting results, but I'll let him explain that a little bit later, and that's MCT oil. Specifically, this is Dr. Mercola's MCT oil, which is unique on its own. But before we get into the specific products, Ed, can you just tell us a little bit about Dr. Mercola, who he is, and what sets his products apart?
Thank you, Brian. Dr. Mercola is, to me, one of the wisest people speaking in the area of holistic nutritional health in the world, not the nation. I have been a follower of his for as long as he's been around in this field, which has been, 20 plus years. And I really, really value his bravery and the fact that he's exposed so much about the truth about health and the good side, the bad side, and the middle side. So I just love his products. He has ethics that are exemplary as far as quality. And his MCT oil, we're going to talk about it. I just am fired up about it because, I've talked about it for years, but I've never actually used it. So Here I am with a testimony.
So I think most people know MCT oil from something like bulletproof coffee, or something like that. It has the ability to increase brain function. So why don't we start there? Just kind of the general uses that people use MCT for and how it can actually help cognitively.
Well, it stands for medium chain triglycerides, and don't think that's a bad word. Triglycerides, we don't want excessive levels in blood work. This doesn't cause it to go up. But this product is from coconut oil, as you say. Now, there are different ways to concentrate it from that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But MCT, for me, and for the research that is pretty substantial, is it's a fat, 100% fat. You add it to your foods. You can do it alone. I generally put it in my protein drink, and I have literally not used this since it was brought on the market, probably 10, 15 years ago, until about 8 weeks ago. And now I'm using it 3 times a day, and we can talk about that in a minute. But it's healthy. The people who have led us down the wrong path that all saturated fats are unhealthy, it's simply not true in my mind. A lot of them are unhealthy, but MCT is not one of them. So this is a healthy fat that's going to increase your brain function, and burning of body fat are the 2 main things that we're going to really talk about.
Yeah, can you explain a little bit about the function of that? What is it about MCT oil that helps burn body fat?
Well, when you hear about the food classes, we have protein, fats, and carbs. Well, now many people, experts that I trust, call that we have a 4th food group called ketones. Ketones, and many people have heard of keto diets and ketosis. What that means is that you're burning fat for fuel instead of carbohydrates. Why does that matter? MCT oil is the cleanest burning fuel that the human cell can have. It's like rocket fuel. And because the brain is at least 60% made of fat, even more, it very well functions as a ability to prevent brain fog and help us to have the kind of quick thinking sometimes if the brain is lacking in those kind of things. So MCT then goes down another path, though, for burning a body fat, because when you're in ketosis, the goal is to, 1, be healthier. That's always the goal. 2 is it burns so efficiently that it regulates the level of which you are burning calories, especially body fat. And I have seen a difference in 8 weeks that is pretty remarkable.
So MCT oil, does it readily kind of transform into ketones? Is that kind of the point of taking it?
It has a very efficient pathway to ketones. Now, if you're eating a lot of carbs, it will be less likely to turn into a ketone. It still helps upregulate. It still is antibacterial. It still does all the healthy things. But I do a diet, which we've talked about plenty of times. Monday through Friday, I eat about 60, 65 carbs. Saturday and Sunday, I eat 200. I have found that cycling, which I feel is very important, is cycling many things, including my supplements and my foods and my diets, because that keeps the body kind of doesn't plateau. It keeps it working in a more efficient manner. And so this when you do ketones, you're running on the best fuel the body can run on. It really can.
And technically, MCT oil isn't something that's necessarily new. Traditionally, this has been something that's been used for a long time without any ill effects. So can you just chat about that for a little bit?
Well, traditional cultures have used coconut oil in pretty high amounts for thousands of years. And that's what this comes from.
Okay.
This is basically a concentrated coconut oil. Can you get MCT from coconut oil? Yes, you can, but it's far less. I want to use the concentrated versions. They're easy because they don't have any taste. And we'll talk about the downside to it in a minute. But you don't refrigerate it or it'll get hard, and it's very room stable. It doesn't have any of the tendencies to be rancid or turn bad, which I am so invested in. Probably never will I stop talking about the devastation of processed vegetable oils, canola and safflower and all these other oils that are used in all the processed foods because it's cheap and easy and it's room stable, is devastating our health to a level that I think is more than smoking. I truly do.
They're in everything, quite literally. One thing that we talked about a little bit beforehand was its bacterial effects. So actually this is naturally antibacterial and antiviral. That's something that I actually did not know. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, Brian, traditionally, and I mean, we have supplements called Caprylic acid. That is what is the component of this called Caprylic acid.
Okay.
It's labeled in plenty of products for anti-yeast, anti-candida, anti-this, anti-that, because we know that coconut oil has some antiviral, antibacterial, and antiparasitic effects. It's not a medicine. It's not that strong, but it has an affinity, and it doesn't harm the healthy bacteria. Okay. Nature's pharmacy is so profoundly impressive if we can just study it, quantify it, and get the quality product and the right information. It is a game changer. World Health Organization still says that 70% of the world uses botanical medicines. Why is it? It's, like I said, inexpensive, safe, and effective, but only if you know what you're doing with the right brands and the right dose.
All right, let's talk about downsides real quick, because there are a couple that we want to hit on. Obviously, this is safe to use, but there can be some adverse effects. So can you tell us about those?
Well, the number one adverse effect, too much, you will go to the bathroom and it will not be pleasant. And we're talking very quick trip. 1 tablespoon normally has never caused that in any of the many people I've talked to. 2 tablespoons can if you don't have a tolerance built up. Wouldn't want to do this in high dosing at all, or maybe not any, if you're breastfeeding, if you're pregnant, or if you have serious medical conditions that have to do with like terrible diarrhea and terrible loose stools. You wouldn't want to add this. Ask your doctor if you have medical conditions. So be careful if you have those. If not, start slow and work up. I was very fearful of that. I started with 1 tablespoon once a day, went to 1 tablespoon twice a day, and now I'm at 1 tablespoon 3 times a day. And I'm just going to tell you without you asking me, what did it do for me? One is my elimination is really great. I think it's actually improved it even slightly bit better. But the big thing is body fat. Now, I'm a pretty fortunate person, very disciplined. I work out extremely hard. But I've never been able to get into single-digit body fats until I did MCT, because I check it with our big machine here at Nutrition World, Seeker machine. And it's the only thing I changed in 8 weeks. I mean, I didn't do anything. Same workout, same nutrients, same diet. I have not done one thing different. And I have lost about 2.5% body fat in about 8 weeks. It has to be the MCT oil. Has to be.
And that, I mean, that's saying loosely following, a somewhat ketogenic diet. You're going to get those results. Not if you're just eating a ton of carbs. You're probably not going to get those same
thank
results.
You for that.
Let's talk best practices and uses. I know that you mentioned you're taking this 3 times a day now. Is that putting it in shakes, or is that just literally taking it straight up?
I do 2 shakes a day. I put a tablespoon in each of those, and then at the evening time, I actually put it in just a little glass of water and drink it. It has no taste. It has that little oily substance. It's one of the easiest things I've ever done. I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect my sleep. It just works well with its body.
Yeah. And of course, you can put it in coffee, any kind of liquid drink, whatever you want.
And like you said earlier, Dave Asprey with Bulletproof Coffee is kind of who made this famous. And I was with him in a seminar in Anaheim about 5 years ago. And that's where he came up with this, made all the money coming up with the idea of putting butter, organic, with MCT in coffee to burn body fat in the morning, and you drink it. And it does work. I'm not a huge fan of kind of making that your breakfast, but it could be.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, there you have it, y'all. MCT. Oh, before we go, we do have 2 products here that we need to talk about. They are a little bit different. We do have an MCT oil, and then we have the ketone energy. So can you tell us a little bit of the differences between these 2 products?
Absolutely. When you look at the molecular structure of coconut oil and then you look at MCT, we just talk about 3 things. It's real easy. There's a C8, a C10, and a C12. Regular MCT has a mixture of all 3 of those.
Okay.
But we know that there's one of those 3 that are even extra potent. It's called C8. And I'm using the straight C8. And I don't know if that's making a big difference or not. But if you want the most potent version, just get a MCT or a C8 MCT of Mercola, and you will have the highest rocket fuel that you could possibly get.
Sweet. All right, y'all. Super clean, super effective. It's a great product. It's, fairly inexpensive for the amount that you get. Simple to use, and it can yield some great results. So next time in your store, or next time you're in the store, be sure to check it out. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.